Assalamu alaikum. This is Btv-Chattogram welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Government and private offices to remain open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Banks from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Shopping malls and markets to close at 6 p.m. to save energy. Measles vaccination to start on Sunday. Leaves of patients and physicians and health workers cancelled to face measles outbreak. Government plans to launch national e-health card by June to take healthcare to people's doorsteps. Schedule of voting for Jatiya Sangshod's reserved women's seats may be announced next week, informs EC Anwarul Islam Sarkar. Israeli strikes destroy 70% of Iran's steel production capacity, claims Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And Bangladesh taking on India in final of SAF Under-20 Football Championship in Maldivian capital, Malé. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The government has taken a set of decisions to cope with the impact of the global situation and ensure fuel oil stability. According to the decisions, all government and private offices will operate from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Besides, the banking activities will continue from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for public transactions, while banks will close at 4 p.m. All shopping malls and markets across the country must remain closed after 6 p.m. However, emergency services such as kitchen markets, food outlets, and pharmacies will remain outside the directive. The decision will be taken at the cabinet meeting held at the cabinet room in the Parliament Secretariat here on Thursday night. Prime Minister Tariq Rahman presided over the meeting. Later, Cabinet Secretary Nasim Ghani briefed the journalist at the media center of the Jatiya Sangshad Bhavan, saying that the government took measures considering fuel supply disruptions caused by the Middle East war. Prime Minister's press secretary Saleh Shibli was present at the briefing, noting that several steps have been taken for the next 3 months to reduce government expenditure. The cabinet secretary said no new vehicles, watercrafts, or aircrafts will be purchased during this period. Procurement of new equipments, including computers, will also remain suspended, he said, adding that internal training has been reduced by 50%, while all foreign training under government funding will remain suspended until further notice. Cabinet Secretary Nasim Ghani said expenditure on meetings and seminars has also been cut by 50%. He said besides, government spendings in the power, energy, and gas sectors will be reduced by 30%. The meeting issued a directive to reduce unnecessary travel expenses by 30%, the cabinet secretary added. He said new directives will be issued for the directives and the education sector. The cabinet secretary said the Ministry of Education will start issuing instructions in phases from Sunday, considering the needs of different levels so that measures do not have a negative impact on the education system. In a bid to reduce traffic congestion in the capital city during the school hour, he said the government has decided to introduce electric buses for school students instead of private cars. Educational institutions joining the initiative will be able to import buses duty-free, the cabinet secretary said, adding that the private sector will also get this facility, but a 20% duty will apply for commercial purposes. However, only new buses will be allowed for import, he said, noting that imports from alternative sources are also being increased to maintain normal fuel supply. Nasim Ghani said initiatives have already been taken to import fuel from Malaysia, Indonesia, and Kazakhstan. Prime Minister Tariq Rahman said a rare example of dedication working continuously for 16 hours on Thursday. He began his day at his cabinet division office in the Bangladesh Secretariat at 9 a.m., engaging in a series of official tasks, including file reviews, meetings, and decision-making on key national issues with firm attention and focus. After completing his work at the Secretariat, Tariq Rahman also said ruling BNP chairperson joined the Jatiya সংসদ session at 3:30 p.m. His active presence in Parliament until 8 p.m. to discuss nationally important issues, formulate policies, and reflect the expectations of the people is a living reflection of the responsibility of a statesman. Later, at 8:45 p.m., Tariq Rahman attended a cabinet meeting at the Parliament Secretariat where detailed discussions were held on overall development, crisis management, and future plans. The meeting continued till after 11:30 p.m. Following the cabinet meetings, the Prime Minister returned to his office at the Parliament Secretariat and continued his official duties. Prime Minister's additional press secretary, Atikur Rahman Ruman, said the Premier worked from 9 a.m. to 11:50 p.m. on Thursday. He said working 12 to 14 hours a day is part of the Prime Minister's regular routine, but on this day, it extended to almost 16 hours. This long working hour is not just a statistics. It is a message to the countrymen. Atikur Rahman Ruman said, while many go to rest at the end of the day, one leader still stays awake for the country, for the future. Political analysts said this is a symbol of an unwavering commitment to the country, to the people, and to responsibility. The relentless effort by the Prime Minister reminds anew that leadership is not just about sitting in a seat of power, but about taking the responsibility of the nation on one's shoulders at every moment, they added. Finance and Planning Minister Amir Khosrow Mohammad Chaudhary said the energy crisis is not just a problem of Bangladesh, but a global problem. He told this to journalists after the Young One CIU Academic Excellence Scholarship Award ceremony at the Korean APZ in Anwara of Chattogram this afternoon. The finance minister said the abnormal increase in oil and gas prices starting from the Middle East and around the world is also affecting the Bangladesh economy. Due to high-priced fuel imports, implementing of the national budget pledges is becoming challenging. Earlier, the finance minister stressed the importance of making students suitable for the era of globalization and advised them to become skilled in technical and technology-based education. CIU Vice-Chancellor Professor Dr. M.M. Nurul Absar presided over, while founder, chairman, and CEO of Young One Corporation and Korean APZ, Ki Hak Sung, and chairman of the Board of Trustees of CIU, Lufti M. Ayub, among others, addressed the occasion. Later, the minister presented scholarship awards to the students. Health experts said not ignorance but public awareness alone can play an effective role in preventing measles. They made these remarks at the roundtable discussion titled Recent Measles Outbreak and Necessary Actions, held at the Al Busad Convention Center in the capital today. The event was organized by the Legal Health Assistance Cell. At the event, they said the situation has become critical due to gaps in vaccination, misinformation, and lack of coordination. Due to the absence of proper campaigns, the virus is spreading from urban areas to grassroots levels. Experts said that currently 65% of children aged 6 months or below are being affected by the disease. Meanwhile, a nationwide measles vaccination campaign will begin in every upazila in Sunday. Although measles vaccination is usually given from 9 months of age, experts are advising strengthening treatment and preventive measles from as early as 6 months in the current situation. They also said identifying malnourished children infected by measles and ensuring proper treatment can reduce the risk of death. A representative of UNICEF said that currently 80% of those affected have not been vaccinated. Therefore, vaccination is the only effective preventive measure. Due to misinformation and propaganda on social media, many parents are reluctant to vaccinate their children. For this reason, media representatives emphasized the need for providing accurate information centrally. To make the fragile healthcare system left by the previous fallen government more coordinated and effective, the current government has planned to introduce a national e-card by June. Through this, healthcare services will reach people at the grassroots level at their doorsteps. The government, led by Prime Minister Tariq Rahman of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP), has been implementing one election pledge after another since assuming state power. Analysts said that the introduction of the e-health card will bring a fundamental transformation to the country's overall healthcare system. Whether a patient receives a treatment in a village or a city, their necessary health information can be assessed through this card. This will make diagnosis and treatment faster and more effective. The e-health card will act as a fundamental identity framework in the health sector. Through it, individuals can be accurately identified across different healthcare systems, and medical information can be securely exchanged among hospitals, clinics, and other institutions. If the e-health card is ensured in the healthcare system, services will become more efficient, accurate, and accessible. It will improve patient data management and make data-driven planning easier. The Election Commission has called a commission meeting next Monday to take preparations for the election of reserved women's seat in the 13th National Parliament. The schedule for the reserved women's seat may be announced on the same day. Election Commissioner Anwarul Islam Sarkar said this in an exclusive interview with BTV News. After the 13th Jatiyo সংসদ election has been held on February 12th, the results were published in Gazette form on 13th of February. Although there is an obligation to complete the election of reserved women's seat within 90 days of the Gazette publication, the Election Commission has called the meeting on Monday aiming to complete the process within April. The Commission meeting will also discuss the election for Bai for vacant Bogora 6 constituencies and the election for Sherpur 3 constituency scheduled for April 9th. In addition to the reserved women's seat election, several other important issues may also be discussed at the 11th meeting of the current commission. Now, international news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed that Israeli strikes have destroyed 70% of Iran's steel production capacity. He said Israel and the U.S. will continue to crush Iran a day after local officials said 8 people were killed in a U.S. strike on a bridge connecting the city of Karaj to the Iranian capital, Tehran. Meanwhile, Iran has launched fresh strikes on Israel and Gulf nations. In Kuwait, officials said a water distillation plant has been attacked. Iranian media claimed that the U.S. is searching for one of its pilots after a jet was reportedly drowned over Iran. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said the U.S. can easily open the Strait of Hormuz with a little more time. The Iranian Army Commander-in-Chief Amir Hatami was quoted by saying by the state media on Thursday that no enemy troops should survive if adversaries attempt a ground operation, and Iranian army be to counter by any method of attack. U.S. President Donald Trump said the Iran conflict is nearing completion and could end within weeks, but a parallel buildup of additional U.S. troops in the Gulf has raised concerns that preparations may be underway potential ground operations. Iranian state media shared a soundless footage showing Hatami in a room with 3 other army commanders and on a video call with about a dozen others, but it could immediately not be verified when the footage was taken. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council will vote Friday on the draft resolution brought by Bahrain to authorize the use of defensive force to protect shipping in the Strait of Hormuz from Iranian attacks. Iran has placed a stranglehold on the key shipping lane, threatening fuel supplies and roiling the global economy in retaliation for U.S.-Israeli strikes that triggered the month-long Middle East war. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi condemned the targeting of civilian infrastructure. Striking civilian infrastructures, including unfinished bridges, will not compel Iranians to survive and surrender, he said in a statement posted on X, adding that such actions convey the defeat and moral collapse of an enemy in disarray. The White House announced that patented foreign drugs will now face a 100% tariff when they enter the United States. However, important exporting companies will be able to avoid the tariff by making deals with the U.S. government. U.S. President Donald Trump has been threatening to impose tariffs on imported drugs for a very long time. The announcement finally came on Thursday. According to the White House, the goal of the tariff is to reduce the national security risk by increasing the production of important drugs in the United States. Many large pharmaceutical companies have already made deals with the United States. As a result, they will be exempted from the tariff. It is expected that several more companies will sign such deals in the coming weeks. The White House said that only 20% tariffs will be imposed on companies that promise to start new production in the United States before Trump's term ends by January 2029. If the companies reach a price-fixing agreement with the government, the tariff will be reduced to zero. In the deals already in place, companies have agreed to sell some of their drugs to government health insurances, pharmacies, and programs such as Medicaid at prices similar to those in certain foreign markets. The United States will also maintain lower tariffs set under agreements and agreements reached last year with key partners including several European Union countries, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, South Korea, and Japan. Myanmar's coup leader has won a parliamentary vote to become the country's president, formalizing his grip on political power in the war-torn nation 5 years after he ousted an elected government. Senior General Min Aung Hlaing won 429 out of the 584 votes cast by MPs in the country's pro-military parliament on Friday. Yang Lin-dui, the Speaker of the Parliament's combined upper and lower house, confirmed. The 69-year-old general orchestrated a 2021 coup against the administration of Nobel Prize Peace winner Aung San Suu Kyi and placed her under arrest, prompting widespread protests that morphed into nationwide armed resistance against the military leadership. The transition from top general to civilian president follows a lopsided election in December and January that has won in a landslide by an army-backed party and derided by critics and Western government as a sham to perpetuate the military rule behind a veneer of democracy. The pro-military Union Solidarity and Development Party won more than 80% of parliamentary seats contested in the election, while serving members of the armed forces occupy unelected seats, making up a quarter of the total. In a live broadcast on Friday's vote, Min Aung Hlaing quickly passed the threshold required to win, as many had predicted. He has among the others of the other candidate nominated for the post earlier this week. The two runners-up became vice presidents. Min Aung Hlaing is set to the presidency, a position that analysts say he has long sought, followed a major reshuffle in the leadership of Myanmar's armed forces, which he had led since 2011.